Welcome back, faithful explorers. And if this is your very first time, hi there. I'm Laura, and this is Faithfully Explore, the podcast where we don't just listen, we explore. Today we're off on an exciting adventure to a land filled with vibrant colors, ancient stories, and a deep connection to the earth. This is the world of the First Peoples of Australia. I recently had the privilege of visiting Australia, and I met some of the kindest, most welcoming people. Their wisdom and warmth made me even more excited to share this special episode with you. We'll meet some surprising creatures, hear the land whisper secrets, and pack some amazing ideas into our belief backpack. That's our invisible backpack, where we store all the awesome beliefs, values, and wisdom we gather on our journeys. So wiggle your toes, take a big breath in, and imagine the red earth beneath your feet. Ready? The land is calling, and it has a story just for you.
Faithfully explore is the name. Learning together is our aim. Beliefs around the globe will track, filling up our belief backpack.
In today's imaginary journey, you're walking barefoot across the red earth of Australia. Can you feel it? The ground is warm under your toes, soft in some spots and a little crunchy in others. The sky above you stretches wide and blue, and the air smells like eucalyptus leaves and sunshine. You hear the distant cackle of a kookaburra, Australia's famous laughing bird. And somewhere nearby, a kangaroo thumps across the land with big bouncing hops. Tall trees sway gently in the breeze, and ancient rocks rise up from the earth like storytellers waiting to share their secrets. This place is alive with stories. As you're walking, you reach a winding river. Suddenly, the water begins to shimmer and swirl. You hear a deep voice say,
I am the rainbow serpent, guardian of water and life. I carved rivers and shaped the land. If you wish to pass, tell me, what do rivers give to all creatures?
What do you think water gives to creatures?
By providing things like water, food, and shelter, rivers give life to many creatures. Rivers are life givers. You've earned your first belief stone, the stone of life. Place it in your belief backpack.
We'll learn more about this special creature called the rainbow serpent later in the episode. As you continue walking, you come upon a large, ancient tree covered in carvings. This is a meeting place for kangaroo, emu, and lizard. Each animal is going to tell you about the platypus, but only one is telling the truth. You'll need to decide who is right.
This is kangaroo. Trust me, the platypus is just a duck in disguise.
Hello, Emu here. The platypus was born from a duck and a water rat.
As a lizard, I know that the platypus was made from magic pebbles.
Which animal do you think is telling the truth? Kangaroo, emu, or lizard? Did you choose the emu's story? That's the right tale. The platypus's parents are a duck and a water rat. You've earned the belief stone of stories. Next, you keep walking and come to a peaceful clearing. In the distance, you see two animals. One is a koala resting in the trees, and the other is a dolphin swimming gracefully in the ocean.
Koalas live high up in the trees and rely on the leaves for food. We know that everything is connected. If the trees fall, we all feel it.
That sound at the end there is an actual koala. I had no idea they sounded like that until I met one for real in Australia.
Dolphins swim through the oceans, and we understand that the water connects us all. But we live separately from the land, and the land creatures are on their own.
Now you have to decide, which animal do you think understands the connection between all living things in Australian beliefs? Koala, who thinks everything is connected, or dolphin, who thinks just those things closest to them are connected? Did you choose the koala? That's the wisdom of the people of Australia. All life is connected, just like the koala and the trees. When one part of the web moves, everything else feels it. Now you've earned the belief stone of connection. Place it in your belief backpack. You've collected 3 belief stones: life, stories, and connection. These special stones hold the power of being passed down through generations. Stories that are thousands of years old. Let's keep exploring so we can learn more about these beliefs. The Indigenous Australians have cared for their land and honored their traditions for over 65,000 years. That's older than the pyramids of Egypt and even older than the invention of writing. Imagine a story being told by a parent to their child. Then that child grows up, becomes a parent, and tells it to their child. Now, can you believe that happened over 2,500 times? But here's the cool part. Aboriginal peoples aren't just one group. There are over 500 different nations across Australia, each with their own language, stories, songs, and ceremonies. That's like having 500 versions of how to understand the world. Think of it like this. Imagine if every neighborhood in your town had its own language, music, and way of seeing the stars. That's a bit like how Aboriginal Australia is. Some groups live near the ocean and tell stories about sea creatures, while others live in the desert and share tales about the hot sun and red sand. Each of these nations has carefully protected their beliefs and traditions, passing them down from their grandparents to parents to children, keeping them alive and strong even today. They have their own special ways of making art, their own songs, and their own dances that tell important stories about their land and their beliefs. Aboriginal people believe in something truly magical called the dreaming. But don't think of it like the dreams you have at night. The dreaming isn't just a collection of stories from long ago. It's happening right now, all around us. Imagine time as a big circle instead of a straight line. In Aboriginal understanding, the past, present, and future are all connected like a never-ending loop. The dreaming is always with us, shaping our world every single day. When Aboriginal people care for the land, perform ceremonies, or tell these ancient stories, they're not just remembering the past, they're actively participating in the dreaming today. In the dreaming, we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves. It's like a giant web that connects people, animals, plants, and the land, not just in stories, but in real life, every single day. And just like a web, if you touch one part, the whole thing moves. Everything is connected to everything else. Aboriginal peoples have many different stories about creation. These stories help explain the world and people's place in it. Imagine the time when the earth was dark and flat, waiting to be shaped. The ancestor spirits emerged and began their great work. Their footsteps created valleys. Their resting places became mountains, and their songs brought life to plants and animals. Some ancestor spirits could change their shape, sometimes as giant animals, sometimes as people, and sometimes both at once. They created the sun, the moon, and the stars. They showed us how the wind blows, why the rain falls, and why the seasons change. They taught us that all living things are related, like one big family. Let's add these creation stories to our belief backpack. They remind us that everything in nature has a purpose and spirit. Rocks aren't just rocks, they could be sleeping ancestor spirits. The wind isn't just moving air, it could be carrying messages from the dreaming. Every animal, every plant, every star in the sky has its own story that helps explain its special place in the world. Aboriginal cultures also teach us that we belong to the land. The land doesn't belong to us. They teach us to live in balance with nature and to share resources. Let's think for a moment. Do you recycle? Do you say thank you to the earth when you pick a flower or eat a fruit? Do you treat animals kindly? When you do these things or others like them, you're already living like many Aboriginal peoples do. You're caring for the earth as a sacred living being. Now, as I promised before, I'm going to tell you more about Rainbow Serpent. As I tell the story, imagine the scenes unfolding in your mind. In the beginning, the earth was completely flat, silent, and still. Nothing moved, nothing grew, no water flowed, and no rain fell. Deep underground lived the rainbow serpent, sleeping and waiting. This enormous creature was so big that its body formed huge ridges and mountains whenever it coiled beneath the surface. Now let's pause for a moment. Close your eyes and picture this flat, quiet world. Can you feel how still everything is? Now put your arms by your sides and slowly wiggle them like a snake. This is how the rainbow serpent moved, because serpent is another word for snake. One day, the rainbow serpent finally awoke from its long sleep and pushed its way up through the ground. As it moved across the land, its massive body carved out valleys and rivers. Wherever it slithered, water flowed behind it, filling the deep tracks it left behind. The rainbow serpent continued its journey, spreading water across the land. Sometimes it would get angry and cause great storms and floods. Other times it moved gently, creating peaceful streams and lakes. As the water spread, plants began to grow, and the land became green and alive. Let's use our arms again. Raise them up high and wave them like tall grass swaying in the wind. This is how the earth came alive thanks to the rainbow serpent's water. Soon the rainbow serpent called to all the other animals who were hiding as rocks and plants. "Come," it shouted. "Come out and play in this beautiful world." One by one, the animals emerged. Frogs came out and started making music with their croaking. Birds flew into the sky for the first time. Kangaroos began hopping across the plains. The rainbow serpent made laws that all the animals had to follow. The most important law was to always share water with others. It taught them that water is precious and gives life to everything. Take a moment now and think about how important water is in your life. Even today, many Aboriginal peoples believe the rainbow serpent still lives in deep water holes, protecting the water and watching over the land. When they see a rainbow in the sky, they remember this powerful creator spirit who brought water and life to their country. And here's something really amazing. Scientists have discovered that many of the places where Aboriginal peoples say the rainbow serpent traveled are actually ancient waterways. This shows us how these stories don't just teach important lessons, they also hold real knowledge about the land that has been passed down for thousands of years. The rainbow serpent teaches us the importance of sharing and respecting nature's power. If we don't care for water or the land, we might lose the balance that gives life to everything. Let's journey together to one of the most sacred places in all of Australia, Uluru. Uluru, or you might also hear it called Ayers Rock, is a giant red rock that rises out of the flat desert. It's super old, millions and millions of years old, and it's taller than the Eiffel Tower. To the Aboriginal peoples, particularly the Arnong group, who are the traditional owners of this land, Uluru is much more than just a beautiful rock formation. It's a sacred place where the dreaming is still very much alive today. Uluru has springs, waterholes, and ancient rock paintings. They're sacred spaces where important ceremonies have taken place for thousands of years. The Arnong people still come here to these places to teach their children about their culture and perform ceremonies that their ancestors have done for generations. The Arnong people still have a special belief about climbing Uluru. To them, the path that many tourists used to climb follows a sacred, ceremonial route taken by their ancestral spirits. That's why they asked people to stop climbing it, and now it's no longer allowed. This teaches us an important lesson about respecting sacred places and the beliefs of others. So if we ever go there, we'll walk where we're allowed, gently, listen carefully, and always remember that Uluru is not just a rock. It's a living part of a very old and special culture. Let's take a moment to imagine we're standing near Uluru at sunset. The rock glows like it's on fire as the sun's rays hit it. It changes from bright orange to deep red to purple. Place your hand over your heart and feel its beating. This is how the Aboriginal people say Uluru feels, like a living, breathing part of their land and culture. Now that we've explored so much about Aboriginal beliefs, let's take a moment to build our friendship bridge with our Aboriginal friends. That special connection that helps us understand beliefs different from our own. Take a deep breath with me. And let's think about everything we've learned today. Remember how the Aboriginal people see everything as connected? The land, the stories, the people, the animals? They're all part of one big, beautiful web of life. Think about your own life for a moment. What connections do you see around you? Maybe it's the way your family takes care of each other, or how the plants in your garden need the sun and rain to grow. Put your hand on your heart and think about something that's special to you. Maybe it's a place, like how Uluru is special to the Arnong people. Now imagine you're explaining to a friend why this place matters so much. Just like the Aboriginal peoples pass down their stories, you too have stories that are important to you and your family. Think about the dreaming stories we learned today. Even though they might be different from stories you know, they help explain how things came to be and teach important lessons about taking care of our world. What stories does your family tell that help you understand the world better? Maybe you have special family traditions that have been passed down, just like the Aboriginal peoples pass down their traditions. The Aboriginal peoples teach us that everything in the world is connected through stories and respect. We can use this wisdom in our lives by treating everyone and everything around us with care and understanding. All right, explorers, are you ready for this week's challenge? It's time for the Dreamtime Adventure Challenge. This challenge will take you on a special journey connecting you to the land and the stories of the first people of Australia. There are 3 parts to this challenge, and I want you to dive deep into each one. Part 1, reading a dreaming story. First, you'll read a dreaming story. If you don't have one already, don't worry. You can find many stories online. In particular, on my website, faithfullyexplore.com, I have listed a website where you can read dreaming stories that are illustrated by other kids. Part 2, get outside and experience nature. Next, I want you to step outside and really experience nature. Look closely at the world around you. Find a special part of nature. A tree, a rock, a patch of grass, or even a place in the sky that feels magical to you. This is your moment to connect with the earth. It will also help inspire your story. Part 3. Write, draw, or act out your own dreaming story. Now that you've read a dreaming story and spent some time in nature, it's your turn. Create your own dreaming story. You can write it down, draw it out, or even act it out with your family. What's your special connection to nature? What creatures, people, or magical events are part of your dreaming? Bonus challenge. If you're feeling extra adventurous, try learning a few words in an Aboriginal language. Maybe you could learn to say hello or thank you. I want to hear all about your Dreamtime Adventure Challenge. You can share your story with me by emailing me at faithfullyexplore@gmail.com. So grab your belief backpack and let's begin your Dreamtime adventure. But wait, before we wrap up our adventure, I have one more story that's just too good not to share. It's a dreaming story that tells us how one of the world's strangest animals came to be. Can you guess what animal I'm talking about? It has the bill of a duck, the tail of a beaver, the feet of an otter. It lays eggs like a bird, but it is actually a mammal. If you said platypus, you're absolutely right. This is a creature I have been fascinated with since childhood. I was so lucky to get to see a few platypus when I was in Australia. I will post the pictures on my website so that you can check out these unique creatures. My favorite part was watching them swim. Now get ready for the origin of the platypus. This is my favorite Aboriginal story from the Dreaming. A long, long time ago, there was a curious duck who lived near a river. She was beautiful, with shiny feathers and a playful spirit. One day, while paddling downstream, she met a proud and strong water rat. He had sleek fur, strong legs, and he knew every twist and turn of the river. "What's in your hand?" Duck asked Water Rat. "That's my special spear I use to hunt my food," he replied. The duck and the water rat became close friends, and soon they fell in love. Though they were very different, they didn't let that stop them. Eventually, the duck laid eggs in a nest by the water's edge. When the eggs hatched, strange creatures emerged. They had bills like duck. They had webbed feet like duck. But they had 4 legs like water rat. They had fur like water rat. The boy baby had sharp tips on its back legs called spurs, just like the tip of Water Rat's special spear. They were platypuses. When Duck's friends came to see her children, they said, "They look very strange. They don't have 2 legs like a duck. They don't have wings like a duck. Where are their feathers?" Then Water Rat's friends came to see the children. They said, "They look very strange. They don't have long tails like a water rat. They don't have faces like a water rat. Why do they have a beak like a duck?" The other animals were shocked. "What kind of creature is this?" they said. "Is it a bird? A mammal? It doesn't belong to any one group." But the platypus, with its soft heart and clever mind, didn't worry about labels. It knew it came from love, and it could swim, dig, and live in 2 worlds, land and water. The family moved upstream to the mountains where they found beautiful crystal clear water to play in, among the rocky creek beds. The platypus had children there, and to this day, you can still find platypuses living in the mountain streams of eastern and southeastern Australia. This story reminds us that being different is not something to be ashamed of. In fact, it can be something truly magical. Just like with the platypus, we each have special parts of ourselves that make us unique. And just like the animals in the dreaming, we all belong in that great web of life. Take a second now. What's unique about you that makes you special? Can you think of a friend who's very different from you, but who you love being around? This story teaches us inclusion, respect for diversity, and the idea that we all have a place in the world, even if we don't fit neatly into one box. Now that we've heard these beautiful stories and learned so much about Aboriginal cultures, let's take a moment to think about what we can carry forward in our own lives. Aboriginal peoples believe that the land is not just something we live on. It's a part of who we are. Ancestor spirits live in rivers, trees, stars, and mountains, so nature must be respected. Stories and ceremonies connect us to our past, guide our present, and shape our future. Community is everything. People are responsible for each other and for keeping traditions alive. How can these ideas help you become a better person? Maybe you'll look at nature with more wonder and care. Maybe you'll listen more closely to the stories your grandparents tell. Maybe you'll try to understand others, even when they seem different. Every time you show kindness, curiosity, and respect, you're living out the lessons of the dreaming. Take one last deep breath with me. Imagine your friendship bridge growing longer and stronger, connecting you to people all around the world who carry stories just like you do. Next time on Faithfully Explore, we'll discover more about a belief system many of you probably haven't heard of, the Baha'i Faith, an inspiring belief system that teaches unity, equality, and peace. I can't wait to explore it with you. Until then, I'm Laura, reminding you on Faithfully Explore, we don't just listen, we explore. So keep wondering, keep making connections, and keep filling up that belief backpack, because the world is full of amazing ideas just waiting to be discovered. See you next time.